Okay, this is Canada and the ANZAC and the French turn 2. The ANZAC have 10 IPCs to spend. They're going to save all 10. They're not going to put anything in the water because it's a little bit too dangerous with the Japanese naval presence. So they're going to wait until they get a little bit more money in the bank and see if they can't put a little bit more Navy in the water next turn. The Canadians are going to purchase another transport and an infantry. There are no combat moves this round, but there are a number of non-combat moves, so we'll get straight to those. The transport in C-Zone 106 for Canada is going to move to C-Zone 109. The destroyer that's in C-Zone 109 will support the rest of the fleet in C-Zone 110. The transport in C-Zone 91 will pick up the infantry in Casablanca, go to C-Zone 110, pick up one of the infantry in the United Kingdom, and drop them both off in Normandy, Bordeaux. The tank in Casablanca will move to Algeria. As for the French, they have two non-combat moves. The infantry in French Central Africa is going to go to French Equatorial Africa, and the infantry in Transjordan is going to go into Egypt. The two boats remaining for France won't move. As far as the Aussies, very, very little. They're just turtling right now. So basically the two fighters from New Zealand are going to go to New South Wales. The infantry from South Australia is going to go to New South Wales, and the infantry and anti-aircraft from Queensland are going to go to New South Wales. So they're completely, utterly, and totally turtling in their capital right now. For now. We'll see what happens next. Okay? So as soon as I make those moves, I'll come back with placements and money. Okay, the only placement for the placement round for these three turns is the transport in C-Zone 106 and the infantry in Quebec. In terms of income, the Canadians collect a 7 IPC base income, and they still get the +3 because they actually had 3 units in originally French territory. There's a tank in Algeria, and there are 2 infantry in Normandy, Bordeaux. The Aussies saved 10 IPCs from this turn. They didn't spend anything, and they will get another 10. They have no other national objectives. However, they are currently being convoyed, and they can be convoyed for up to 2 IPCs. Now, they're going to get at least 1 for the sub, but let's see what they get. They get 2. Total. They get 2 plus 1 is 3, but it's a max of 2. So they're going to lose 2. So it says 20 there. They will actually get 18. So let's do the disposition of forces. While we're here, let's do the Aussies. In New Zealand, there is an infantry. In the Solomon Islands, there is an infantry. And in the capital of New South Wales, there are 6 infantry, 2 anti-aircraft, 1 artillery, and 3 fighters. For France, we have an infantry in French Equatorial Africa, an infantry in Egypt, a destroyer in C-Zone 81, a cruiser in C-Zone 91, an infantry in Casablanca, and an infantry in Morocco. Actually, you know what? I think I'll move both of those guys forward. Actually, no, I won't. I'm going to leave them there. I'm going to leave them there as defense for that part of the coast. Okay. And then in terms of the other French units, there are, of course, 2 infantry in the UK along with a fighter. And a cruiser in C-Zone. I think I said the cruiser in C-Zone 91. Okay, Canadians. In Quebec, there's an infantry. In C-Zone 106, there's a transport. In C-Zone 109, there's a transport. In the UK proper, there are 2 infantry and an artillery. In C-Zone 110, there's a transport and a destroyer. And in Normandy, Bordeaux, there are 2 infantry. So that's the Canadians, the French, and the Aussies for this turn. Russia, USSR turn 3 coming up. Okay, there's two things at the end of this video. First, we're going to change the turn marker. Now, I have it at 5 here because remember that it starts at turn 4. So turn 1 is actually turn 4. Turn 5 is turn 2. So turn 3 in this game is actually going to be turn 6. Remember, we go up to 8, but there's only 5 rounds in a 1942 game. I also wanted to have a look at where the Axis stand in terms of victory conditions. They are currently winning the game. They need 12 victory points. They have 13. They have their initial 5 victory cities of Tokyo, Berlin, Rome, Shanghai, Warsaw. They, of course, conquered Paris very early on. They conquered Manila, Hong Kong, and Leningrad. And they also have 51. They also have the Japanese Empire victory condition because the raw score of the Japanese is over 52. They currently have World Oil 1. They currently have the Mediterranean 1 with the 5 Mediterranean islands being controlled. And they currently have the Pacific Islands 1. Let me just make sure of that, actually. They currently have Guam. They currently have the Gilberts because the Americans were not able to take that back. They currently have Borneo. Oh, maybe they don't. Wait a minute. Guam, the Gilberts, Borneo. Oh, yeah, they don't. Okay, so my bad. All right, so they only have 5, 8, 9, 11. They have 12. So they are actually still winning, but they only have 12. So they are vulnerable. Although, again, I mean, some of these are within their reach. The South Asia one certainly is, if they can retake Burma and Malaya. They have an outside shot at getting the China one, although I don't know if they're going to have enough turns to do it. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, there's a few other ones they could get or maintain, and certainly some victory cities are within the realm of possibility as well. So again, we're moving on to turn 3/6 in the game, and the USSR is going to be up next. Okay, just a really quick correction. They do have the Pacific Island one because they have Guam, the Gilberts, because the Americans couldn't take it back, Borneo, and I forgot about the Philippines. They, of course, have the Philippines. So that's 4. So they do have the Pacific Island one. So they do have 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They currently have 13 victory points right now. So tall order for the Allies to address this.